2026 begins with a quiet kind of tension in the air, the kind that Gemini can feel before anything actually happens. It's that subtle shift in energy that makes you stop, look around and think, something is about to change. And you're right. This year does not arrive softly for you. It unfolds slowly, emotionally, and with a psychological intensity that you haven't experienced in a long time. It's the kind of year that doesn't just affect your love life. It changes the way you see yourself, the way you connect, the way you give and receive affection. Gemini 2026 is the year where the universe takes your heart by the hand and says, this time, let's do it differently. Because deep down, whether you admit it or not, you're tired. Not physically, tired emotionally. Tired of relationships that feel like you're working alone. Tired of connections that start with fire and end in silence. Tired of giving too much of your mind and too little of your heart because you've been afraid of losing yourself along the way. Tired of chasing after people who can't meet you halfway. Tired of pretending you don't care when, truthfully, you care more than anyone realizes. And that's the secret truth of Gemini. You love harder than you ever let people see. But 2026 is not about hiding anymore. It's about understanding. Understanding your patterns. Understanding your emotional limits. Understanding what you truly want in love. Not what you settle for. Not what you distract yourself with. Not the temporary thrills that fill the silence, but never the emptiness. This is the year you finally face the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding. And for the first time in a long time, you are ready. As the year begins, something inside you shifts. It's subtle, almost invisible at first, like a psychological realignment happening beneath the surface. You start to let go of certain expectations, certain fantasies, certain illusions that you've carried for years. You realize that some relationships drained you more than they fulfilled you. You see that some people took advantage of your emotional intelligence, your communication skills, your ability to adapt. And most importantly, you start admitting to yourself that you stayed too long in situations that didn't deserve the version of you that tries so hard. January and February bring clarity, not the painful kind, the liberating kind. You stop blaming yourself for things that were never your fault. You stop replaying past relationships in your head, trying to understand what you could have done differently. You stop carrying guilt for choices that were necessary for your emotional survival. And when you put down that weight, you create space for something new, something healthier, something softer, something real. If you are single, this is when you begin attracting people who match your mind and not just your mood. People who understand your layers instead of just trying to decode your contradictions. People who look at your complexity and don't feel intimidated or confused. They feel intrigued. They feel inspired. They feel drawn to you in a way that is deeper than any superficial attraction. For the first time in a long time, someone sees you, not the version of you that you've created as a shield. If you're already in a relationship, the dynamic shifts as well. 2026 brings emotional honesty to the surface. Conversations that were avoided finally happen. Problems that were ignored finally demand attention. You begin to realize where you've been compromising too much, or where your partner has been coasting. But instead of running, which is your survival instinct, you approach these issues differently this time. You show vulnerability, you admit your fears, you express your needs, and this vulnerability becomes the catalyst for either a deep emotional reconnection or a necessary ending. In 2026, nothing remains almost okay. Your relationship either evolves or dissolves. But here's the psychological twist of the year. Your standards rise, and not out of ego, out of awareness. You begin to understand the emotional cost of giving your heart to the wrong people. You begin to see your time, your affection, your attention, your mind, and your love as resources worth protecting. You stop over-investing, you stop chasing, you stop lowering your expectations just to make connections easier. You become more careful with your words, more reserved with your promises, more intentional with your emotions. March and April bring emotional opportunities. You may reconnect with someone from your past, not in a dramatic, toxic, nostalgic way, but in a way that brings closure or clarity. You finally understand why certain relationships ended. You understand why they could never have worked. And this understanding frees you. Psychologically, it's like untangling a knot you've carried for years. Suddenly, your chest feels lighter, your mind feels clearer, the emotional noise gets quiet, and that's when the unexpected happens. Love begins to find you effortlessly. There is a powerful romantic influence that enters your life around the second quarter of the year. For some Geminis, this is a new person who feels unexpectedly familiar. Someone whose presence calms your mind instead of overwhelming it. Someone whose emotional intelligence matches yours. Someone who doesn't push you away, doesn't pull you too hard, and doesn't play games. They respect your complexity instead of trying to simplify you. They don't just listen to your words, they listen to your silence. For others, this is a transformation within an existing relationship, a deepening, a healing, a rebuilding that brings emotional intimacy back to life. You start feeling safe again. You start opening up again. You start believing again. May and June are big turning points. These months reveal a truth you've ignored for too long. You want love that moves your mind and your heart at the same time. You're done with connections that are only stimulating intellectually. You're done with people who keep you curious but not emotionally fulfilled. You crave emotional depth, emotional consistency, emotional partnership. And because you desire it deeply, the universe begins guiding you toward it. Around mid-year, something crucial happens within you. Your fear of vulnerability begins to fade. Not disappear completely, but fade enough to let connection grow. You start realizing that vulnerability is not weakness, it is honesty. You stop protecting yourself from love and start protecting yourself from people who don't know how to love you. This shift transforms everything. July and August bring emotional clarity. You start seeing the difference between people who want you and people who value you. You stop confusing attention with affection. You stop romanticizing inconsistent behavior, and you begin gravitating toward people who show up consistently, speak honestly, and love intentionally. The psychological healing you've been going through begins to show. Your relationships become healthier, deeper, more balanced. If you're single during these months, a powerful romantic connection may enter your life unexpectedly, not dramatic, not chaotic, not something that spins your life out of control. It's calm, grounded, stable, and that stability feels strangely exciting to you because it's new. For once, the safest person in the room is also the person who makes your heart beat faster. If you're in a relationship, these months bring growth, real growth. You and your partner begin understanding each other on a deeper emotional level. Misunderstandings from the past dissolve, grudges fade, communication improves, and the relationship shifts from something that requires effort to something that offers comfort. September and October bring emotional decisions. You may be faced with choices about where you want your love life to go, choices about commitments, about the future, about who you want to build with. And instead of avoiding these conversations, which you've done before, you approach them directly. You feel mature, you feel strong, you feel in control of your emotional destiny. And that's one of the biggest transformations of 2026, emotional maturity. This is not the year of drama, it's the year of understanding. Understanding yourself, your relationships, your needs, and your heart. By the time November and December arrive, something beautiful happens. You look back at everything you've gone through, the patterns you broke, the people you left behind, the emotional walls you dismantled, and you see how different you are. Not harder, not colder, but wiser. Softer in the right places and stronger in the ones that matter. 2026 ends with love that feels real, love that feels earned, love that feels emotionally safe. Whether you enter this year single or committed, You end it more connected to yourself, and because of that, more open to genuine love than ever before. This is not just the year where love changes for you. This is the year where you change, and that transforms everything. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. Drop a comment telling me what part resonated with you the most. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the powerful messages I bring here. Your support helps the channel grow and motivates me to create even more deep and transformative content for you.